Low test, low test, low test. I'm reflecting on some news today relating to the amount people are buying as far as the economy as an indicator of the economy. And the indication is that they're buying more things, more widgets, more crap. And it's my contention that with the way prices are going up, that they're just spending more money for less. And it really is not an indication of anything wonderful happening. Our indebtedness as far as individuals is no better than it was. And if they think that it's wonderful that we're getting further into debt, I think the banks are happy, the credit card people are happy, where they get money for basically nothing and then they charge poor slobs 20-30%. In the old days, they'd call that usury. They would show the mob, charging 20% or 30% on the money, and that was a terrible thing. Now the banks do it all the time. They want you to miss a payment, but I won't get into that. I'm getting into the way the media tries to deceive you into some sort of complacency, like everything is fine and we can just continue to do what we're doing. I don't have the answers to any of this. I'm just letting you or making you try to ask yourself why we accept these figures on spending, let's say, as it came out today, that it's wonderful. They're talking about new jobs. Well, new jobs at lower wages. I mean, that is not, it's great that people are working, but to say that these are good jobs that they're getting, people are getting less and less and less money for what they did or what they're going to do. Obviously, the price of doing an operation is going up. The medical costs are going up. Some of the procedures are amazing, and they cost. And one thing I would like to go over would be the Dow Jones average. And here we go. Everybody's waiting for these magical numbers to be met. Going over 12,000 and getting back to where we were in the beginning. But I don't think you understand at all that with inflation, you have to do better than just getting to where you were. You have to make up for all the inflated dollars. You have to make up for the money that you lost at the point that you didn't sell it and take your loss then. So you're not really looking at the lost revenue from the point if you had locked into some sort of consistent revenue producing device, product, whatever, that would have given you your 2 or 3% when it was way up top. By the time you get caught up to where you were, and basically that money was doing nothing, you have to take a look at that. If once again you're being snookered into believing that everything's fine once the stock market gets to where it was. There's many graphs showing the value of the stock market in real dollars of any particular year, but just real dollars, and you'd be very surprised how flat that curve is. Even from the great stock market crash, when it peaked just before the peak of the stock market crash, the price of the stocks back then were not what they try to show you in the normal graphs before they correct for inflation. Inflation is the real thing, and now with the energy costs going up, there's going to be a lot more inflation in the food that we eat, transportation, heating, airlines. It's really going to be pretty nasty. People are going to stop driving as far as they used to drive, and they expect people to buy these hybrids and these cars that are very, very expensive, especially the Volt, which is a piece of garbage from what I'm reading, that you would be much better getting a Prius. On any trip longer than 70 miles, you're getting at least as good mileage on the Prius as you would with the Volt. And the Prius is about half the cost, I understand. And there are people who have modified their Priuses and other hybrids with extra batteries and things, so they take off just using battery for the first, 75, 80 miles anyhow. So many people have mimicked the Volt's performance, or modified their Priuses into an all-electric car for the first 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, depending on how many extra batteries they put in. The hybrid is a great concept for instance, in a city. And the reason why I say that is that that's where pollution can be a problem. That's where you get terrible mileage because you're just sitting in traffic, doing nothing. But in normal driving conditions, where you're actually cruising across the country, the advantage of a hybrid over a properly geared conventional vehicle really diminishes, and especially when you're considering a diesel. Now, you can make diesels specifically, let's say, to get over some of the mountains, but then again, those batteries will only last, for so long. I think that was part of the problem with these buses in the last snowstorm. I haven't had the time or the inclination to really look into it. But I have a feeling that the power loads necessary to push that bus through the slush and snow while slippering was eating up the battery capacity, so that they didn't have enough oomph after a while. They, these vehicles were not designed for really high sustained outputs. They were designed for short spurts to get you up to speed. And once you're up to speed, obviously you don't need that much power. But when you're constantly in a mode where you're using a lot of energy, in the case of trying to get through snow and you're spinning in your wheels and the like, that's not good. But that's only a theory at this point. Not too much more to say, except, like I said, the stock market numbers, in real dollars, the fact that we're told everything's wonderful because of the fact that people are buying crap. They're buying less crap, I would say, at higher prices, and especially the food. Anybody going into the supermarket can see that the price of food is escalating. The price of everything is escalating. And the cost of doing business is escalating thanks to the government. And the government, you have to understand, is a cancer. And it will kill us long before any pollutant will. And of course the government allows the pollutants to get into our food chain. I was surprised that caramel coloring, which seemed pretty organic in nature, is now considered carcinogenic. And yet, you have generations of people drinking Coca-Cola, which is full of that color. I mean, it's one of the most popular, quote, non-artificial colors being used. Now, the government won't come down on the other blues and reds and yellows and greens, all of which are banned in Europe. No, they don't want to do that. I mean, why do they put artificial coloring in food? Just to make it look better? I mean, they put it in vitamins. You see it in vitamins for crying out loud. The kids are trying to get well. You're giving them artificial colors. You're giving them artificial flavors. And until we as a nation start realizing this, regardless of what they say, this is crap. But we seem to accept it. We seem to accept it. And then there's the whole concept of being bombarded with microwave radiation from all fronts. It definitely has an effect on our brains. There's now documentation through the Freedom of Information Act, which I posted, but you can look it up. It's amazing if you have the time to look through YouTube rather than watch the American Idol or whatever the heck it is, or sports. You can find out a lot of very interesting things, and you can confirm it. You can check it out to see if it makes any sense. You might run into a whole new idea that will give you an insight into something you never expected to have an insight in. Today, when I was looking into the microwave revelations on how they can alter our mind, you know, the whole concept when people are talking about putting aluminum caps on, you know, cooking aluminum, that you put a wrapping aluminum over your head to stop microwaves from, or minimizing microwaves from going into your brain. And apparently they have devices you put on your forehead that actually can read the signals coming out of your brain and move the cursor for you without using a mouse. And they can tell which way your eyes are pointing left or right, and you can, through tension, you can make it go up and down. That's heavy stuff. Now, if those electronic pulses can be measured outside your brain, and less available, they're less able to do that with the aluminum foil on your head. That would tell you something, that that there are signals that are coming out of our head that can be detected, and if signals are coming out of our head that can be detected, then signals going into our head obviously could cause some changes in the way the brain processes information. It can be fooled, and there's lots of documentations that the military spent a lot of money working on this concept. So anyhow, giving you a little bit to think about. Have a good day. Make sure you have a garden. Start sprouting your growing some of your spinach. I think now you got to start getting spinach and other things going in the soil, because you're gonna need all the food you can get, because it's gonna be expensive as hell. Take care. Joe DuPont signing off from an undisclosed place in a bunker in New Jersey. Bye bye.